open up for questions and public safety and or anything, yes.
Oh, limited to public safety?
No, not limited.
Oh, okay, so if you're okay with it, can you tell us who the female architect is designing the library?
Yes.
Is
So
that-
Maureen Arndt is her name?
Arndt?
She did the public outreach last year. Like, I know I went to the main library, I think it was, and, they had a session where people came in and, you know, what are the things you want? I wish I had the plan for that, but she did all of that public outreach. So she will be the one, her firm,
How do you spell her last name?
ARNT.
Okay, close enough,
Yep.
thanks.
Yep. Yep.
Gotta report to the husband.
Okay. I'm excited. She's excited. We had a Zoom meeting a week or two ago, and she showed up in my office. She drove in from Dallas. She was so excited. She wanted to see the property and to show her around. Yes.
Yes, could you briefly discuss the upgrades of the Lafayette Consolidated Government Building?
LCG City Hall?
Yes.
Yes. So last year, when we came in the office after a few months, Rachel, my CAO, told me you gotta tour the building. And it took her probably another month to get me to have enough time to go walk around, and we walked around, it's horrible. There's, the whole LUS customer service wing is empty, and then people are working on top of each other in other parts. And basically, at the end of the 70s, we moved in to the Sears building and just put some big hallways up and didn't really convert it into office space. The plumbing is bad. The plumbing is disgusting. Let me say that. We fix it. As it breaks, we fix it. Our, smart city, fiber to the home, tech, all these things we sell. Our IT guys sit at their computer, one of them literally, and I was walking through, I was like, hey, what's that? Has a blue tarp, and at night he covers his computer because he's had a leak, which is fixed, but more than once. And he's like, it's happened more than once. So we can fix it, but that whole plumbing system is so old. It's like 75 years old. And so the first thing I said was, let's fix this space issue. We have all this open space. We don't have any public space. I cannot invite you really, except for the council chambers, to come to City Hall. I might do a public meeting in the old nasty part of the building and let people use the bathrooms. But we had a couple of employees, which I did not know were come to the council meeting, and they were like, when you have to go to the bathroom and worry about the bottom of your shoes or the bottom of your pants hitting the floor because there's leakage, yeah, it's nasty. And so we spent 6-8 months with an architect. Holly Smith they've redone all of the space in the state buildings in Baton Rouge. It's a group of architects based in Hammond, but a bunch of UL architects with one other thing that caught my eye. But they've done this, I've seen it in the state buildings. And there's standards of this type of position should have this much space, this, so that you have these state standards, what does each department need? And we spent a long time looking at how to rearrange the space, to use the empty space, to make the space healthier. Some people were working right next to, like, the sink is here, and they just set up shop here, and it's crazy what the work conditions are. And then I said, we need natural light in the building, and so that's why the roof is raised in the middle, and we've added some windows. And I think, and we've changed the front very simply back to university to make it a prominent building on university. Right now, if you park in the Wright's parking lot and you've never been there, it takes you 15 minutes to figure out you have to go to the side of the building to enter. It's really an awkward layout, so it gives us the opportunity to do that. It's not dead. We moved the money. We didn't fund it in the budget. Kenneth put it in a savings account. I think we had the votes to fund it. I'll tell you that. I didn't want it to go through a bashing because it's really, and the council got it real quick when the employees got up and spoke. It's really about making a quality workspace for the employees. For me, it's a reflection of who we are as a city. I bring a lot of prominent people in there. And they're okay if they just come straight to my office. My office is nice, I'll just say that. I'm not gonna complain about my office. But if they go to the bathroom, the mayor of Paris was supposed to come in and it speaks to who we are, and so that project, we did not have 17 million in the budget, we had 5 million, and that is in the savings account, and we are gonna look at phasing that project and improving the workspace. We have focused a lot on the employees. We've got over 2,000 employees at LCG coming in. One of the first things we did was pay increases. Some people were still paid $8 or $9 an hour. It's real to me. And so we raised the base to 12. It's not market yet. It's much better than it was. That was an $8 million annual hit when we did that, when we do this big jump. So we can't do those big jumps often, but we are continuing to try to look at the employee experience. We have good people, and we want a quality work environment for the people, you know, who work for us, who provide the services that we want. So, anyway, yes.
You mentioned several things going on with the new library, and I'm just wondering, as best you can, what is the timeline for all these pieces that have to be put in place for things to
We're moving
move forward?
simultaneously on the pieces. I need to, I would say a year before we break ground, and I'm guessing, but that's a question that the architect needs to answer to me, but it's not designed yet. So there's not like a set of plans to go build. That process has to go on this year. And that's where we'll come in when we have a preliminary design that looks good in our office. We'll come present it publicly, get feedback from you guys, and go through. But to design something 9 months to a year, I would say.
I mean, that helps manage expectations.
Yeah.
To know that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can you address the issue of the jail?
Okay, there's a few issues.
Well, I'm hearing about that we need a new jail and there isn't money for the jail.
So,
And then I also went to the committee yesterday and heard some really positive things about trying to get people out of the jail faster, because people sit in that jail for way too long.
yes.
Like 4 times as long as the average in the nation for how long people sit in jail, and that's, we can't afford it, and it's not beneficial to anyone.
So when she was at the Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee yesterday, which is made up of all of the agencies involved. We are there because we fund it as the parish. I don't really have a role in the processes, but one of the things that, you know, the sheriff and I sat down and talked about pulling the CJCC back together, because it is something that existed at one time. And he was all for it. He's like, we've got to get everybody to the table. He runs the jail, but the speed at which somebody's processed through the system, whether, you know, their public defender goes to talk to them, they go to trial, do they get a continuance, what is the DA, how fast does the DA move the case? I mean, like, there's all these factors that kind of were all stalled out when we started a year and a half ago. We started these meetings. And so since a year and a half ago, we kind of stopped and reflected on it yesterday. We have a new public defender running that office. She's hiring a lot of lawyers. The way that structure is set up, the state controls that, and we were stuck. I mean, people were not talking to their lawyers. We have somebody, she came in from a different district, and she's actually applying for this job, and she's good. I mean, Paul was in the meeting, Maggie, she's moving. We're looking at all parts of that process. Okay, so with the jail, let me go to that. Why would we build a jail? One, it is old and dated, but not everybody in the world cares that we have an old and dated jail. I will say that. But it's also downtown, and so there's an incentive to get it out of downtown. Having a new modern jail would be good for everybody. It's not cheap. It's very, very expensive. The parish typically doesn't have that kind of resource. And so those are kind of the reasons why. One, to modernize the jail. 2, to get it out of downtown. The design that I walked into, there was a preliminary design, and it's estimated at $189 million. We have to partner with the state. The state really traditionally doesn't build local jails, but the governor will help us. I mean, it's part of his, he's made criminal justice a big part of his agenda. And so, and I told him when I came in, I said, I didn't run on building a jail, I don't mind building a jail, you give me the money, I'm building a jail, cause the community. But the money got moved this session, and the sheriff is building an administration building. So to move everything out of downtown, his whole administration has to move, and the jail has to move. So his administration building, which I wasn't part of the decision, I'll say that, but got, maybe he's got 25 million with the state in P1, and another 40-something in P5. So that administration building will be built, he'll move everybody out of downtown, and then we'll go back to the state and work on, can we get money for the jail? The state's looking at different options of how to build a more cost-effective jail, and there are ways, I will tell you. This is gonna, it's like, when you build a house, do you get a, is it all custom-made? This is kind of like a custom-made plan we have now, or can you, like, buy a set of plans and build that? Save a lot of money, by the way. So anyway, so that's kind of where we are with the jail.
Do you have any
Not moving fast.
ideas of where it's going to be at?
So haven't had the opportunity to touch that conversation. I know it's controversial. Do we own the land? Do we have to build it there? No. I'm nowhere near building it or even looking at that decision. When we get there, I know it'll be a tough meeting. We'll come, we'll talk through it, we'll look at options. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna make a decision in a vacuum, not a decision like that.
So will the community be involved when there are talks about where the jail will be?
So we have $0 set aside for it right now.
So
Nothing's happening too fast.
Yeah.
So the current jail is like in bad shape. Is there any plans or any way some of that can be fixed or amended
So I
in the
think
meantime?
we're putting over $1 million into it, this year. We're putting new locks, they were having issues with the locks, we're waterproofing the building. We do maintain that building, and we do, when issues come up, we're there to fix it. And, we put $5,500,000 in the budget for, I think the sheriff has 8 deputies that clean and maintain, or not clean it, but maintain it, like they're repairmen. So when things go wrong, we don't have to stop and contract somebody to come in, they're there on site. And so I think about $500,000 will cover their salaries in this year's budget. So yes, we do maintain it, and when something's broken, we fix it. It's old and dated, and they say it's dated because it's 5 floors. It's hard when you gotta bring an inmate from one floor to the next. That's, you know, it's not as functional as you would build a jail today, because you would not build a jail 5 floors. It's duplicative, and there's pods, and the outdoor space is limited. That's the one thing, if I would build it, I would want to make sure there's outdoor space. I think that natural light is therapeutic for the workers and the inmates.
Contact visitation?
Contact, yeah, well, yes. I mean, if we build a new jail, everything's on the table. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So since we're speaking on the jail, I'd like to get your intake on, your insight on the conversation of holding the ICE detainees. If that, you know, what's your personal feel for that? If that was to take place, would you know, with the lack of staff already?
So they have staff, the space. There's lack of space. What he's talking about, the sheriff's talking about, he owns the annex, which he does not
Right.
use. He would not use our jail for
Right,
us.
right, yeah.
So he wants the federal government to renovate the
Right,
annex
right,
to
right.
accommodate that. We don't have room in our jail to become an ICE
Right.
facility. We have 59 inmates shipped out to other jails right now.
Yes.
And we have about 50 DOC inmates, or maybe those numbers have flipped, which are state prisoners. We already have too many state prisoners, and we're shipping too many of our own inmates out. We don't have the facility for our jail to be an ICE detention.
But do you have a say of whether it happens
No.
or not?
Sound like you wanna say something, but
I do, but I don't have a say in it, I will say that.
Would the taxpayer dollars be used to maintain the annex building that he owns to keep ICE
So he
detainees?
would, they pay really well for ICE inmates, so he would have a contract with the federal government.
So there would be no taxpayer dollars that would be
Not local.
used.
I mean, the federal.
Right, but no local.
No. No, the parish is pretty much tapped out with maintaining and paying for our jail.
So I'm unsure how to say this, but, I wanna, and I'd like to say that I feel grateful that you and the chief are taking a different stance on going after immigrants. How does that come across? I mean,
I have
did I
not
say
gotten,
that right?
I can't speak for the chief, I've not gotten, it hasn't reached me as far as an issue with immigrants and trafficking.
So I read that the chief of police and the mayor president were, not versus, in my view, different though than Sheriff Carter, who would participate in rounding up immigrants for detention.
You wanna speak to that?
Sure, so my job is not to do ICE's job. I have enough time and enough people to barely police our city. If the federal government wants to come in, I can't stop them. We're not going to assist them. None of my officers are going to assist them. That is not my job. That is their job. We're going to leave that right in their hands.
And regarding the sheriffs, is the sheriff a federal?
No, he's a state elected official.
And so therein, that, going after immigrants is against the law.
I'll leave that between you and the sheriff.
I haven't heard that he is gonna assist. I've only heard that
That was
he
in the
is going
paper.
to house.
That was in the
Okay.
paper.
Okay.
Well, the thing about using the annex was, he has said he wanted to do that,
Yeah.
but
And they
Well, the
said he'd
question I
assist
have
in
is-
any way he could.
given that so many people are being rounded up, either by a federal, by whoever, and put in detention, deported, whatever, does that affect how law enforcement deals with people who may or may not have legal status, but need protection, need police protection, just like everybody else? If they have a crime to report, do they need to fear that if they report to the police, they're gonna be somehow deported or imprisoned?
Rounded up.
Yeah, no, we haven't had that problem yet. I haven't had anybody. Now, there are some communities, like the Hispanic communities, will handle a lot of the business themselves. Matter of fact, when we go into the community and there's a bad crime, they will bring us a suspect. They'll say, he did it. Take him. Because they just want him out just as much
Which
as.
may or may not be true.
Usually it's true. But I've not run across that problem. Have either of y'all run across that yet?
I would just think the problem would be assuring the community that they can report crimes and cooperate with the police without having to fear that they're gonna be deported.
Just don't call the sheriff.
Right.
Yes.
So, as a teacher, I see the home impact of parents and family members being incarcerated, and so I was wondering if there is any intentional, significant part of the future of this new jail to have mental health services as
Yeah.
one of the deterrents so that will.
So in the plans that we have, there's a mental health wing, so they can remove those with mental health issues out of the general population. That's another issue with our jail, is that it's really hard for them to isolate people who need to be outside of the general population because of the layout of the current jail. So yes, there is a mental health wing. We are also we have several efforts going. We're doing a community assessment right now to look at what we're calling a crisis stabilization center, I think. We have a national firm in what that needs to be. We're trying to look at all of the needs of the community, but it's a place where if you have a family member who needs resources, you're not sure of what, you can go, it's like an assessment center. How do we get resources to this person? What resources do they need? They pick somebody up who they really can't leave on the street, but shouldn't be in jail because jail's not gonna do anything and the jail might be full. They can bring this person there to stabilize. So maybe it's a 24 to 48 hour stabilization facility. Will not be next to the jail, it will not be next to the hospitals. It's intended to relieve our emergency rooms in our jail and those facilities that really can't handle
Good.
mental problems very well. I guess we're handling them today, but not really very well. So it's that and where people can go to be assessed to get help if they don't know what to do with whatever they're going through. And so that Representative Annie Spell and our office have funded that assessment jointly, and it's in process right now. There will be outreach to key stakeholders. It will not be run by the city. It will be run probably by Oceans, maybe in partnership with the hospitals. But it is to try to, that mental health gap scares me. I feel like so much is being done with these guys.
Yeah.
We're covering so many bases with the police department. When we have big events, when we have emergencies, when we have weather events, everybody's on point. That we can't control. And we are gonna do a tabletop for like a mass shooting type of event. We are working, pulling the school board into, because the school board works those, I think they have to really be prepared for that. But how are the rest of us, from a first responders perspective, prepared for that to support them? What if it's not in a school? What if it's somewhere else? So we are doing what we can to prepare. That mental health question is not so easy because it comes in so many different forms. So I'll say that's the one thing. I feel really good about the police department. The work these guys do, the disposition they have. I've seen them go through some really tough times. We've lost an officer. It was like a big family, and then you saw them come back together. And I will say it is Paul George's leadership that really kind of set a tone of just a good community. Yes, within the police department, and I've been very impressed. And their work is really, I've been very impressed to get to know the police department, to get to know how they work, how they respond, how they support each other, and so I feel good about that. This mental illness those boxes are not so easy to check.
When we talk about building a new jail, historically in New Orleans and in Baton Rouge, that conversation has been aligned with expanding the jail and increasing the bed size. Is that an intention here?
It won't expand that much,
How much?
under 100 beds.
What is the reasoning for wanting to increase to 100 more?
It does fill up, well, I don't know, thousands of warrants are outstanding, I guess. We could fill any jail if we really wanted to. It's not a significant, maybe it's like 70 beds increase, I'll say that. It's a different disposition. You'll have a female wing, you'll have a mental health wing, if it goes on the campus on Willow, which I know is contentious, they have the welding school, they have, it's like, what are the resources that you wanna put in that jail? what are the resources, and so it does increase slightly, but not significantly, I'll say that. A modern jail would be much better for everybody. Let's say that. If you can really have, because right now a female comes in, they get too many females, they have to shut down this wing and that wing, and then, you know, it's the management of the federal guidelines of who can be next to who. If you have two people from the same neighborhood who are in different gangs, they gotta split them. You know, there's personalities they're managing, there's a lot that if you had the right layout of a jail, it would create a much better quality of life for the workers as well as the inmates. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
I just have a question about the jail that we're talking around about. I understand that there's $0 for that right now. But it sounds like from what you're saying, there are discussions about what a jail would look like.
So they, under the previous administration, they had an architect draw it out. Not
Okay.
design it, it's not like, it's not, designed out.
Yeah, right.
But so I have a preliminary drawing that was done a couple of years ago, that's what we have.
Okay.
We have not done any further work with it, but I kinda have that baseline, they worked with the warden as far as what were the needs of the sheriff. I don't know who else they worked with.
Yeah, and I get that part.
Yeah.
But what I'm concerned about is that because there are these preliminary designs and ideas on the one hand, and on the other, we're saying we don't know exactly where it would be placed, it would be a decision to be made.
Mhm.
How proactive are we going to be about when that conversation takes place?
I'm coming back.
Because that is going to be a huge, and
Yeah.
it has taken place in the past
Uh-huh.
that didn't get very far to satisfaction
Right.
of a large segment of the community. So how will these pieces come together? And we don't wanna be at the last minute having the conversation when all the money and
So the
place and
parish
designs are there.
holds like 2 to 3 million in its fund balance. That's like our savings account.
Okay,
It's not far away from 100 to 200
but
million
I
dollars.
get that part, that it's far away.